All right, guys, I don't want to hold off any longer, but if people trickle in, well, they'll trickle in as they come. So my name's Lisa Fortin, and I am a senior. I'm an international affairs and biology major, and I'm one of the founders and co-presidents of Mercer's Hive Society. And as many of you already know, we're basically the goal of Mercer's Hive Society is just to kind of emphasize the importance of bees, pollinators, and basically the whole pollinating world. Talking about the ecological significance, we're talking about the importance that they play in human lives. And so one of the things that we're hoping to do is also get a hive on campus so that way students can actually interact with the hives and learn more about it in person. But then it's also to learn about other pollinator species such as butterflies, birds, and the thousands of other bee species out there as well.
And hi, I'm William Flammer. I'm the other co-president of Mercer Hive Society. I'm a history major. I'm also a senior. I'm from North Georgia, and I'm kind of more interested in the beekeeping side of this organization, though I'm also very interested in learning more about the biology, and I'm also extremely interested in doing kind of works of conservation and helping make Mercer's campus more friendly to pollinators and stuff like that. We have a quick little video to show you guys that kind of has all the pollinators that we would be working with in it. And so I'll just go ahead and play that now. All right, so yeah, that video kind of has a very artistic, kind of uh, professional grade video filmography of all the various different kinds of pollinators that we want to work with. Um, as students, we can do things that help these species of pollinators either reclaim the habitats that they're supposed to be in, or just to raise the numbers of individuals that are around in our local community. And so all of the creatures that I have on the slide here count as pollinators: bees, butterflies, beetles, wasps, flies, hummingbirds, bats. Um, they all do their part to help spread pollen between different plants. And so some people might not know exactly what pollen is. It's kind of a weird little substance that basically maybe Lisa can explain this a little better than I can, but it's kind of just a substance that plants use to help spread their genetic information between different individuals so they can produce fruit and nuts and such.
So basically, pollen is just kind of that like yellowish orange stuff. Comes in different colors a little bit, but it tends to make you sneeze in the spring. And what it really is, in like the simplest terms, it is like plant sperm cells. And so they're basically microgametophytes of seed plants, and that's how we get other plants. And it's not super complicated in that aspect. And so pollination by insects normally, insects and other animals is normally kind of an accident. They don't mean to go around, but while they're trying to get their nectar, they collect pollen and they transfer it to other plants. And that's basically how plants are made.
So nectar is really what most pollinators are after. It's kind of the resource that they use to have energy to go about their lives and to do other stuff. And so bees specifically actually harvest nectar from plants, and in doing so, they get covered in pollen, so thus becoming pollinators. But they take this nectar and they take it back to their hives and they turn it into honey so that they can keep it for a longer period of time. But most pollinators are after either a nectar of some sort or some kind of fruit or something else that they can eat. And here's a picture of some bees making honey.
So, what exactly is Mercer Hive Society about, and what are we trying to do? Basically, we're focused on the conservation of pollinators and different pollinator-friendly plants, and we do that via, talking about native species, planting native species, and then also talking about limiting pesticide use and herbicide use, so that way pollinators have plants to basically pollinate and to get nectar from without having to deal with the risks. And then we're also going to be focused on, spreading that message and educating not just the Mercer students, but also the Macon community about pollinators and their ecological significance. And one of the ways we're hoping to do that is to train students basically how to keep bees, how to manage a hive, so that way they can do it later on in their lives. They can do it now if they want to, but that way they have that skill set as well.
And yeah, once we have a hive on campus, Dr. Thompson and I, Dr. Thompson is our faculty advisor, will start training training students on how to keep bees. Actually, we also already have another professor in the biology department who's kind of interested in learning how to beekeep, so he might be involved in that as well. So here is kind of a list of all of our leadership positions in the Hive Society. We have, of course, our faculty advisor, who I just mentioned. It's Dr. Thompson. He is a member of the history department, and he is in charge of the Southern Studies program, which is kind of a part of the history program, but it also has other disciplines within it. We have, of course, the position of president, of which Lisa and I are co-presidents. We have our vice president, who I'm going to ask him to introduce himself. Trevor, if you would.
Hey, I'm Trevor. I hope you guys can hear me over the background noise. I am at the calf, eating calf food, kind of. But anyways, yeah, I'm the vice president. My favorite pollinator is bats, and I'm really excited to do some work, hopefully with bat houses on campus. I am a senior. and I'm really excited for us to get going.
And then, of course, we have the position of treasurer, which as of right now is still vacant. If we have a position in the Hive Society that isn't currently filled, that's okay. Either we'll find someone to fill it in this semester or next semester, or Lisa or I will just take on the responsibilities for it. Right now, of course, we don't have a budget to manage because we would have to receive money from the school to have that. And so it's okay. Then we have our social queen, which I believe Helena is here. And so I'll ask her to introduce herself, but she's basically in charge of our social media.
Hello, everyone. My name is Helena. I'm a junior. I'm an international business and marketing major, and I'm the social queen. My favorite pollinator is Classic the bee. I think they're adorable.
All right. And then, of course, we have our design coordinator, who is kind of in charge of helping the social queen and any other members of the club with making graphics and having designs and editing videos, and kind of really the PR wheelhouse of making sure that we have nice looking things to show to the community or to the rest of the the student body. And that is our resident design coordinator is, of course, Quinn. I'm going to ask if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Quinn. I'm a junior. I'm a biology major, and I'm in the education master's program. And my favorite pollinators are beetles.
Beetles are actually really interesting because magnolia trees, which we have a lot of around here, only are pollinated by beetles. There's no other, bees won't go and do anything with them. It's because the beetles, I don't know exactly what they're after, but the beetles like to crawl into their flowers and then they get covered in the pollen to go off. So we have the position of pollinator biologist, which they're that role is best suited for someone who's in the biology department and is either interested in environmental science or entomology. They're basically supposed to just go out and see what kind of community is doing with pollinators. Currently, that position is mostly being filled by Lisa, but if someone comes along who really is just deeply passionate about insects, I don't think she has any large attachment to remaining in that role. And then there's also
I would like to also say that Quinn is also holding the pollinator biologist role. We're kind of splitting it this semester, and I think she'll be taking it on later probably.
And then we have the role of hive master, who will basically, when we have hives, will be in charge of the bees. They're ultimately responsible for making sure that they are okay to be left alone over any duration of time. So over the summer, the hive master might need to come down and check on them a couple of times. Of course, right now we don't have a hive, but until we do, and until we have someone who can fill that role, I'm kind of taking on the responsibilities. And so until we have someone who can be a hive master for next semester, that is essentially my role. And even though Lisa and I are seniors and are graduating this summer, I will be in the state and can come do the duties of that role until we find someone to replace me.
So this seems like there's a lot of roles, but something to note is that a lot of these roles can be held by multiple roles can be held by the same person. So, if a president wants to be the hive master as well because they have the most experience doing that, then they're more than welcome. Similar with if the social queen wants to be design coordinator or vice president wants full treasurer role, you can take multiple roles on as well.
And as we've probably already shown you, we also aren't really afraid of splitting the roles between multiple people if if they can't have a full-time commitment to run role, or we feel like it would be better to have two people in one role. So for example, Lisa and I are co-presidents. But really we can put more people into one role depending on the need of that position. And so the first event we want to do is Beekeeping 101. It's really easy for us to put on, and I will be leading it as our resident amateur beekeeper. And so I'll go into an intro of beekeeping, the kind of activities you'd be doing. I talk about the hive box. I might get into kind of the different types of hive boxes, but Dr. Thompson is going to loan us one of his empty ones, and so it'll be based off of that type mostly. I'll talk to you about the use of the different tools that are involved and why we use them and how exactly you're supposed to use them. I'll talk to you about, I have it on here as personal protection, but so the gloves and the veil and the suit. that goes along with beekeeping. And of course, I'll talk about the methods and goals of why you keep bees and how you manage them. We're thinking that we will do it on the week of March 8th. We haven't exactly pinned down a day yet, and of course, since we want to do it in Tatnall Park, it depends on the weather that week.
So, oh, sorry. For the Beekeeping 101 event, we're hoping to also release a short video next week, basically just to give some basics so that way you can understand how the hive functions as well before going into Beekeeping 101.
We also, this semester, there's a couple of events we feel like we can probably pull off, either on our own or once we have a budget. All of it should be fairly easy to do. The thing we know for certain we can do after Beekeeping 101 is we're going to screen a documentary that's about honeybees. It's called More Than Honey, and we'll figure that out after we have successfully gone through Beekeeping 101. We want to have a nature hike / a nature walk. It's pretty easy to do. We just need to figure out how to get everybody to the site wherever we're going to walk around. We haven't exactly pinned down a location for that yet, but that's okay. There's lots of places around Macon that we can go. We would like to do a trip to a local bee farm, like a kind of commercial level bee farm. A lot of them typically do tours, so we don't think this is too out of our reach to do. It's just that with COVID going on right now, that a lot of them haven't really been doing that lately. And so it'll basically be dependent on the farmers and how comfortable they are with a bunch of students coming around and traipsing around their farm. Also, we've talked with one of the biology professors here on campus, and Dr. BC is really heavily involved with plant species, and she's very interested in plants that need pollinators as well. And so she has offered to kind of do like a little presentation or a short lecture about pollinator friendly plants and like what we could do for them and some of their biology and stuff like that.
So for the pollinator plants with Dr. BC, we're also currently in the works to get a pollinator garden started with her. And so she's already started a little bit of one outside of the greenhouse by the engineering building in the soccer field. And so our hope is to also turn that hill by the soccer field into a bit of a pollinator garden as well. So we're working on that. And we will let everyone know more information once we kind of get that approved and have more details on it. Then in terms of other events that we're hoping to get done, probably won't get done this semester. There's a lot of events, but we're hoping that, in the semesters to come, these are different events that you'll likely see the organization accomplish. And so some of that can include the science and history of honey, learning about, what flavors honey and the different aspects of that. Then they're also going to learn about, pollinator biology, both bee biology, but also all the other pollinators out there, learning about bats, learning about birds, learning about beetles. And, part of that would also be building nest boxes, both for bats, but then also for bees and other insects as well. And there's like a whole bunch of events that we could do. One of the ones that I know some of our members are excited about is the Bee Movie Social. And so that's less educational, but more fun. And so that's part of what we're trying to do too, is to create that community around, the love for pollinators and the love for the different, just the different pollinators that there are. So if there's any specific event that you see on here that you want to see done this semester and we don't have it listed already, let us know. We are pretty flexible, and so we can try to plan something else instead. Yeah.
All right, so if you guys have any questions, I know we didn't have exactly as many people come out as we thought we might, but that's okay. If you guys ask questions now, it'll be in the recording and I can send it out to them, and maybe that'll inspire them to have their own questions, and they can also just message us separately. So if any of you have any questions, now is the time to ask.
Or if you're not following us on Instagram yet, please do. We're trying to build our base just a little bit. Feel free to put a question in the chat or a message or anything if you have like an idea in the chat as well.
When will our next meeting be?
That's a good question. In terms of general meetings, we probably don't need to have that many. We're going to have them probably about once a month. And so we don't need to have another one of these for a little while yet. In terms of the executive board, we're going to try to meet on a more regular basis. And of course, we're going to be sending out messages in the group me on a very regular basis. We're going to try and get some stuff up on social media. This video, I think we're going to put up on the YouTube channel. So we'll see when the next meeting is, and we'll let all of you know when that will be. Maurice asks if we would like to do a behind the bear interview with Function Dictates Form, the resident YouTube channel here at Mercer. And yes, we can do that. Not right now, but I'm perfectly fine with doing that.
A really good point that someone has brought up is, can you basically join the Hive Society if you don't want to work with bees, or if you're not, interested in that, or afraid, or allergic, for whatever reason? The answer is definitely, even if you don't want to work with bees, we are more than welcome to join. We have a lot of different events for basically anyone who's either interested in plants, bees, butterflies, birds, basically everything out there. And so there's an event for you. And we won't have you interact with bees unless you feel comfortable doing so, and you have been gone through a little bit of a training session with us as well. Okay, last call for questions, and then I think we'll go ahead and wrap the meeting up so everyone can get on their Friday. All right, then I'm gonna call it. So thank you to everyone else who showed up today, and we hope to see you at our Beekeeping 101 event soon, and just be on the lookout for some information. And if you know anyone else who's interested in joining or might be interested in joining, feel free to send them our way, add them to the group chat, do whatever you need to. All right, thank you, everyone.
And if you're part of the exec board, please stay. Maurice and Beth, you're also welcome to stay if you want. In fact, I would say we should just go ahead and do it, since the only person who isn't a senior and wasn't part of the exec board has already left. So welcome to our, hold on.